You know, one of the most controversial phrases that you'll hear today, and I think most of us have heard it 100 times or more, is this phrase, the separation of church and state. This is in all of our press today, it's in our schools, even our pastors talk about it today, the separation of church and state. And we're all told, of course, that it comes right out of the Constitution, and that's what we're supposed to do, is to respect the separation of church and state. I think most Christians, or Americans in general, are just surprised when they find out that the separation of church and state is not in the Constitution. The language, separation of church and state, does not appear at all. As a matter of fact, the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States says, Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion or prohibit the free exercise thereof. That's the actual text of the First Amendment. Now, the concept of the separation of church and state actually comes out of a letter from Thomas Jefferson that he wrote to a group of Baptists in Connecticut around the time in which the Constitution was being adopted. And these Baptist folks in Connecticut were very concerned that the state was going to take over the church. And so to calm their fears, Thomas Jefferson wrote this very famous letter, which has now become seen as dogma. And he let the Baptists know that, no, look, there's a wall that's there, so the state cannot get into the church and begin to manipulate and control it. And so it was actually a design by Thomas Jefferson to calm the Baptists and let them know the state was never going to mess with the church or go ahead and get into it. Now, what's happened here after a couple hundred years of history has passed on is just the opposite has happened. Instead of protecting the church from the state, what has happened today in our country is the state is now being protected from the church. And therefore, we have lost our public spirituality and Christianity today by using the Constitution in a way that it was never intended to do. Because remember, in the end, the state always has the guns. The church never does. And so the founding fathers, including Thomas Jefferson, never intended to protect the state from the influence of Christianity or the church. It did, however, intend to protect the church from the state and its coercive power. And so I think for all of us, particularly in this hour, we need to recover what that really means for us and recover the Christian roots of the Constitution and its purpose to protect us and give us freedom of our faith in these days.